Hello, Kusla. Welcome to Sasquatch Island, my YouTube channel. And my name's Tom Seawood, and I'll be talking to you about some of the activity that's going on Vancouver Island right now. I'm here in Kent, Washington, but I keep in touch with all of the friends of mine that are fellow investigators on Vancouver Island and other places in British Columbia, Canada. But this morning I had an interesting conversation with a good friend of mine, and I met him one time, and we were communicating. This is about 4 years ago, I guess, and he was working in an area just off northeastern Vancouver Island, a small inlet that has had a few reports of activity through the years, especially recently. And he's been sort of looking after that area, and then right across from it, where our Sasquatch research camp is, that's sort of, turf I've been looking after. Well, because I'm here in Kent, Washington, and it's beginning of June, salmon berries are out, fiddlehead ferns, sword ferns, and we know that these are foods that Sasquatch likes to harvest this time of year in the Pacific Northwest. And also we have the elk and the deer fawn drops taking place, as well as other animals. So there's a lot of new protein readily available for the Sasquatches on Vancouver Island. And I used to, in the past, go down to the camp this time of the year because the weather's nice, and set up the air mattresses on the bunks in the cabins and sleeping bags, and then gather up a bunch of driftwood because the beach is always loaded from the winter storms. And we sit around the campfire at night, talking and, having fun with, whoever comes in after we deal with the notorious hill of hell on the way down. And sometimes we have some activity. We hear tree knocks, some chattering when we go to the bed at night, some whoops. You can hear this type of bush that's really heavy under the forest canopy on the ground called salal. And I should have brought some in from outside, but the salal plant, it's everywhere. And to walk through it, it's like walking through steel wool. It's just noisy, it's tangling you, it's thick. But you can hear someone or an animal coming close to the cabins at night because it sounds like someone dragging a plastic tarp. And one time when we stayed there about 3 years ago with a whole bunch of us, we all went to bed, and one of the guys, as I shared, woke up in the morning. He was pretty mad that someone was making noise outside his cabin at 1:30 in the morning and sniffing above the door where the board was missing, and yet him and his son were hiding under their sleeping bags. They wouldn't put their sleeping bags, their flashlights on. And we tracked it. The next day you could see the tracks and everything where the thing had come into the back of the cabin they were in, which was a cookhouse, and left on a different direction. And you could tell it wasn't a bear or a cougar or a wolf. It was something big that pushed through. So the camp, I want to be there, but I can't. So I reached out to a husband and wife, fellow investigators from Vancouver Island. And no, I'm not going to be giving names. It's just because of, privacy to my friends and fellow investigators. I haven't cleared with them if they want their names showing up and everything. So, but if you dig deep enough on Facebook, Sasquatch Island, our group, you'll find out who I'm talking about. So anyway, this husband and wife, I said, you guys should go down to the camp. I know you guys, have your Jeep with your tent trailer. Just past the camp, on the shore is old log landing, where they used to sort logs, and they haven't used it by the looks of things for at least 2 or 3 years. But it's a great place to camp. Beautiful view of Johnson Straits, the salt water, and you watch whales go by, and dolphins, seals, sea lions, eagles, and of course it's just stone's throw away from my old kayak camp, which is the Sasquatch investigation camp, and of course there's activity. So I told them, and then my partner there, Ali Stephen from Nanaimo, who I work with Seasons of the Sasquatch on YouTube. Anyway, Ali was bugging me, let's go to the camp, let's go to the camp. But I wanted to come down here. I was in Canada for over 3 months. I went up there herring fishing, the border closed, and this COVID-19 pandemic came, so I didn't want to try coming down here. It's better if I stayed in Canada for my free Medicare. And, you know, Peggy and I have been away for months on end before anyway. It's part of our relationship and makes it stronger. So anyway, I'm up in Vancouver Island. I'm like, Allie, I'm going to try to punch through the border. You know, it's time I get down there. So I tried, and 3 weeks ago I made it in. Here I am, Kent, Washington. So Allie, of course, I told him, just find someone to go with. So he mustered up Keith Carlson from Vancouver Island Sasquatch Investigation Squad, which is a Facebook group and well known with well over 4,000 members. So anyway, the two of them, they, I guess, teamed up with another guy from Campbell River who I've touched base with before on Facebook Messenger, and can't remember his first name. But anyway, the three of them went in there. It was just over a week ago on the weekend. And Allie and Keith and this other guy, they had a good, you know, got to the camp, and as I said earlier on the video, you know, after getting to the cabins and everything, and, you know, they're three old dogs that are, you know, beat up and broken from a lifetime of hard work. So, you know, they got to the cabins down the hill of hell, and then they put their stuff away, and right away they went behind the cabins to look for tracks and so forth, which I told Allie, don't do that. The first time you get to the camp, stay in camp for the first afternoon and night. Don't go behind the cabins until after. That way, you know, you can see if there's anything new coming in, and you're not stinking up the joint with human smell and, you know, scaring them off because they think you're setting up trail cameras or whatever. So anyway, they went behind there in the first hour and found some good depressions that were tracks. I was really impressed. And apparently they heard some tree knocks, and there was no wind, so that was a good score right away. Nothing happened, I guess, while they were on the campfire, and I think they heard something at night. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, they had some activity that first night, and they stayed a second day and night, and then they packed up and they went up the hill of hell, and that just beat their butts. And when they got to the top of hill of hell onto the logging road, they still had about a half a mile to walk out of the overgrown logging road to the main area where Allie parked his car. Keith and Allie start going up the trail with Buddy with them, and pretty soon they separate. And they couldn't see him or hear the guy behind them. But this other gentleman, he's an experienced investigator and bushman, logger by the sounds of it in his career. So he gets to the car and tells them that, hey, something was paralleling me in the bushes after you guys got up ahead of me. I'd stop and it would stop. As we know, the standard pattern of Sasquatch, you know, basically following you when you're walking through the bush or a logging road like he was. Well, apparently he stopped and he was monkeying around with his pack, and when he looked up, he got a tree peak, and he saw it face to face from, I think he said 30 or 40 feet. He had a good look of it, apparently. Now, of course, I grilled him. I didn't tell him anything. I didn't lead him on. But when he answered questions, he definitely saw what I've seen down there. And I haven't posted that. I haven't put it on a podcast, the characteristics of that one Sasquatch face. And I do it purposely because I don't want people BSing, you know, oh, I saw it when I went down there when you weren't there. So anyway, they get to the car, all three of them. Well, here comes the other investigation friends coming down to go stay on the log landing, the husband and wife. They chatted around and talked, and Allie and Keith and the other guy, they took off in the car. Their investigation's over. Well, this couple go down, you know, another, not even a quarter mile down to the water, set up their tent trailer and put up their trail cameras, their listening devices. She has digital recorders, I understand. And next thing you know, they heard tree knocks. And she got up. At one point, their kids came in with their children. The grandchildren were 12 years and younger. I think there was 3 or 4 of them. They were, you know, of course, twittering and chirping and having fun and playing. And, of course, we all know that it's curious, builds curiosity for the Sasquatch. Well, the kids leave with their children, and it's just the two of them, the couple left. And she went to use the potty there, I guess, sometime just before going to bed. and something sprang up, sounded bipedal, and ran through the bush. And it wasn't like 20, 30 feet away from her. Very loud. She said it almost shook the ground. It was so heavy. So there you go. Possibly a Sasquatch. Go to bed. Just before bed, though, she said something to her husband about hitting the trailer, or the tent trailer, and he said it wasn't me. Something was thrown at the, sounded like something was thrown at the tent trailer. And then, of course, they heard some tree knocks. They go to bed, nothing happens. They've been analyzing the audios that they left out during the 2 nights and 2.5 days they were there. And it sounds like they recorded, and pretty good at that, mimicking Sasquatch not Sasquatch kittens. Sounded like they recorded a Sasquatch mimicking cougar kittens. Now, I've been down there about 4 weeks ago. I was down at that camp. Others have been down there, and we all report and seen the same thing. No bear poo when there's salmon berries out and different things. So there's definitely some Sasquatch activity down there. But the guy who phoned me today, he was in the same area just a couple days ago. And he showed me pictures where, as they were riding their quads on an overgrown road just up from the log landing in my camp, they came to an area where all the grass was pushed down in a little mud water area off the side of the road. He thought it was tracks, but he couldn't figure it out until finally he realized what it was something kneeled down and must have been drinking water, because they spooked it off. He could actually, when he first got there, see the water droplets on the gravel and the edge of the road. And of course, these 2 big knee prints. Took him a while to figure that out, but pardon me, it sounds like when they're coming up that overgrown logging road with their quads, they spooked the Sasquatch. So it's just more evidence that that area that we're investigating in has a lot of activity. And of course, it's where we offer our expeditions, where if you come to British Columbia and make your way to Campbell River on Vancouver Island, I'll meet you there and bring you to this camp. We are an expedition company. Just go to SasquatchIsland.com, email me, and I'll make a phone call to you, and we'll discuss when you want to do your expedition. Now, I'll tell you though, July and August, generally it dies out there at the camp, because the salmon show up in the Adams River just north of there. So July, August, we go up into the high timber, above the timber in the Alpines on that mountain that's right behind the camp, and other places on Vancouver Island. And then, of course, in the winter, fall, around, I guess it's about mid-September when it starts to get on down there again. And then, of course, when it's late fall, around November through until about April, that's when the main activity is. But you never know. You know, it's 12 months of the year. Go check it out. You never know what you're going to find. If not, in the summertime, we'd always go there, watch whales, and go up in the Alpine Mountain behind it. So there's all kinds of things to do. But today's report is just once again showing that Vancouver Island has a lot of activity, because this is just one area. But I have other friends and fellow Sasquatch Island chapter members, I call them, that are over in places like around Port Renfrew and Souk on the southwest corner of Vancouver Island. I have some people down on the southeastern side of Vancouver Island, and of course others throughout the west coast, Vancouver Island, central, north, and up around Port Hardy, Port McNeill on the northeast corner, and throughout the Broughton Archipelago, and even other places. And it seems that this year, 2020, we're getting a lot of activity on Vancouver Island. But I thank you very much for watching this video cast of Sasquatch Island. Don't forget, please spread the word, chatter chatter like a Sasquatch, that Sasquatch Island, the Facebook group, now has on YouTube a channel, Sasquatch Island. Please hit that share button, tell other people to join, and invite me to your areas, especially here around Seattle. Well, I'm here until probably the first week of July. I can come out with the video camera, interview you, and see what's going on. But as I always say, be safe out there in your investigations, and respect the Sasquatch. Language of my people, halakulasla. Go in peace. Thank you very much.